Fierce ladies, welcome to the Moms in Real Estate podcast, where we unleash our unapologetic power to share the raw truth of our journeys. Brace yourself for a dose of empowerment, education, and encouragement like never before. I'm Kristen, a relentless entrepreneur obsessed with connecting and uplifting fellow boss babes. In this podcast, we're all about getting down to business, conquering motherhood, nurturing relationships, and so much more. Get ready to dive into the nitty-gritty, embrace the hustle, and unravel the secrets of success in the world of real estate. We're here to ignite your fire, equip you with the knowledge, and unleash your limitless potential. Tune in as we redefine what it means to be a true boss babe. Welcome to the Moms in Real Estate podcast. Today we have my friend, I'm so happy about this, Rebecca Green from Portland with us. And she's kind of a badass, you guys. She sells 60 to 100 homes a year for like the last however many years. But what I really am so excited to talk to her about today is she burned it all down to rebuild in alignment. And we're going to hear all about why. So welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you so much. This is so fun. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. So one fun fact before we get going is me and Rebecca are both at Real Broker. We met after we were both over there, and she actually heard about the Hello Culture, which is my other business, if you don't know about this. And she launched in Portland recently. And my sister had the opportunity to go out there and help her with her first event and could not stop talking about how amazing you are. So I think if you haven't already looked at her Instagram and her social media after this podcast, you're going to want to make sure to go straight there and look at all the things she's up to.
Thank you so much. What an awesome introduction. And yes, thank you so much for introducing me to the Hello Culture. I think I shared with you, it was the community I didn't even know I needed.
I love that. It makes my heart so happy. Okay, so you've been, let's say, like you've been around the block in real estate. You've like literally tried so many different things. And our audience is from actually before even a brand new agent. We're talking people in real estate school all the way up to top producing agents. So I really want to take them through your journey of what you've experienced and where you're at today. So why don't we go back and start with like when you first got into real estate, what your experiences were, and kind of take us along on your journey.
Okay, so I've been in real estate for 33 years, and I'll share something funny. I was guesting on another podcast, and the host goes, "Oh my gosh, that's 3 decades." And I was like, that sounded really like something I'd never thought about before. That sounded like I was really, really old. So 33 years, 3 decades. And I have worn a lot of hats. I started selling real estate when I was 19. I quickly built a team because I had my first daughter and then had my second daughter 15 months later. So I was building teams when teams weren't really a thing. And people thought I was crazy. But at the end of the day, I wanted and had to be home with my children. And so the team was the route to go. And so, I was the only person in our office that had a team. Solo agents were really just what they, pushed agents to do. So that was early on. But, we had no cell phones. We had the Saturday paper. We didn't have MLS. And in a lot of ways, it was easier. There was a hustle to the business for sure, because you literally had to wait for the Saturday newspaper to come out so you could find homes for your clients or drive neighborhoods, which I know I say that to people and they're like, what? Why was that easier? And it was easier and less litigious. But I've seen a lot of evolution. And the one thing I've always appreciated is the evolution. And, so starting in the early days, I had this small team. I continued down the team path almost my entire career. I've also run the marketing and business development for a luxury brand in Oregon. Started with 50 agents, ended up hiring 200 other agents. We were outselling the competition when I started at, maybe 1 to 2, 2 to 1. And by the time I left, we were outselling the competition by 6 to 1. Mega stride.
Let's break for a minute.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to recruit real estate agents. So that is like huge so maybe tell me a little bit about your journey when you were a recruiter. Like, how did you
Yeah.
recruit agents and was that tough for you?
Yeah. So it was probably 15 years ago now, 15 years ago now. And for me, it was just that I was going to take that brand and infiltrate the market. And we were just going to be everywhere. And by being everywhere, we were attracting, I was actively recruiting, but we were attracting agents because we were everywhere. And that was just my goal. It was just the infiltration. That was how I led in my position there. And I do believe for modern day recruiting, that's really, I don't think it's changed. You have to be everywhere. You have to be a name and a face that people immediately recognize. I heard you say not too long ago, we can't be the best kept secret. And that was such a great reminder for me. Yeah, we can't be the best kept secret. You have to you have to put yourself out there.
I know in the moms in real estate community, we talk about this all the time, how people are afraid to put themselves out there because they initially think when they get into real estate, like, I don't want to be salesy. I hear it all the time. And so I
All the
think that a
time.
lot of times the perception of like, okay, if I'm going to be loud online, like that's going to be salesy. It doesn't have to. You can be loud and proud of your brand and be everywhere. And I learned that early on with recruiting too. I was going like the FOMO approach, right? I wanted everyone to know what we were doing. And if they weren't doing it with us, they wanted to be doing it with us
Right.
so it really works. Like people were watching what we were doing online and it led to so much success with the brokerage growth.
Yeah.
And so I love that you said that. And it was 15 years ago that you did it.
Yeah, and it was the same approach. It was just, be everywhere. And the thing about, the salesy part, I hear that a lot, as I mentor and coach agents more now. I hear that all the time too. And I always tell agents to shift the mindset of being salesy to being a resource. And if you look at everything you're putting out and everything you're doing, and you look at that being everywhere as a resource, it feels so much better, right? Because you're serving. So that's a tip for, agents that are feeling like a little uneasy about, selling themselves. Just look at yourself as a great resource for your clients.
Yeah. And work on like, you've got to just be really proud of what you're putting out there because people need to hear about it. And if you don't feel like that with the content you're putting out, then you've got to like do some work to feel good about it and figure out what that message is. Because I really feel, and I know you feel like this too, is like the content that we're pushing out, we feel like that is stuff that our audience needs to hear and that they're liking it. So anyways, keep going.
Okay. So I did that for a lot of years and then recognized I really missed my own team. Like I missed the more one-on-one coaching with my own team. I missed my client. I missed the client interaction as well. So I went back into sales and that was, 10 years ago, probably. I went back into sales and immediately hit the ground building a team. As I say this, I'm a team builder. I'm definitely a team builder. This is something that I've done for all of these years in my real estate career, and I've had a lot of different iterations of it. And I recognized, again, talking about hello culture in that community, I didn't realize I even needed. I've really recognized that we're so much better together. And when you have the opportunity to build your own team and you are, really collaborating at a much different level than you ever have the ability to do, say, at an office meeting or with somebody that's sitting in the office right next door to you, it just hits different. And so that is something I've loved throughout my career.
Yeah, I love that. It really does hit different.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about what does your business look like right now?
Yes. So different. I just pretty much burned it all down. I was feeling for the first time in my career, a few years ago was feeling very stagnant. Like I've been saying for, I don't know, good 5 years, the industry is moving and shifting so much faster than I had seen it in the 25 years previous. And now it's shifting daily, weekly. Like what we're doing today is different than what we were doing 3 weeks ago. If you're thinking AI or chat GPT, all of those things. So I was really, I've been so cognizant of changes and excited by it, but there was something stagnant in my business. And I'm not one to blame the market or the brokerage. I've been through so many different markets and worked in so many different states. You have to own your own business. And so I was owning the stagnation and trying to figure out what it was. I needed to put myself in different rooms. And that was really what I figured out. And so when I say I burnt it all down, I dismantled the team. When I was shifting and making shifts, some agents weren't sure about the changes. That was fine with me. It was really what I needed and what I wanted to do. But I loved the team. I loved the agents that were there. I was happy to continue mentoring them and helping them. But also I knew I needed a completely clean slate. And so that's what I did. I went from 60 to 100 deals a year. Personally, my own production, I am very picky about the clients that I take on now. I might close my own production this year. I might close 15 deals, and that's great. Most of the deals are, I'm offloading to my team. So I'm building the team back in a different way. And it's so much more in alignment with what I need out of my business at this stage of my life. And the one thing I can say about that, I'm so proud that I had the guts to just do it differently. It hasn't been easy. Change is hard. I can't sugarcoat that, but you've got to take the risk sometimes. And it's been so incredibly rewarding. And it definitely unstuck me from that stagnation that I was feeling. And yeah, I'm super excited about what's ahead.
Hi, it's Barbara from Your Tax Coach, and today's tax tip is all about your home office. I still hear all the time that people think a home office deduction is a red flag, and that's just not true. I also see time and time again that your accountant is taking the wrong home office deduction. So you're going to start taking the actual home office deductions, which means you're going to take a percentage of the business use of your house, and you get to take your mortgage interest, property tax, insurance, every single utility, your internet bill, cell phone bill, pest control, HOA, cleaning person, pool person, and you get to deduct some of it. And pro tip, try to make your business square footage even more. So can you attribute a bathroom to your business? That could increase the square footage. Or probably a lot of you keep your for sale signs in your garage or in a closet. So make sure you're also adding in your garage square footage or storage square footage. For more tax tips and tricks, follow us along at yourtaxcoach.com.
So obviously I talk to women in real estate all week, every week. And I will tell you, it's been a while where people are feeling that exact thing that you felt, right? And so it's like, they're tired. This market is not easy. And they feel stuck. And so I think that it's so important, if you're feeling like that, to really like step back and reassess, like, what's going on? Where am I at? Am I in the right rooms? What do I want this to look like moving forward? Because I know like everyone feels like they're just on this hamster wheel and there's like no end in sight. And so that's a scary thought. And so really, like, especially if anyone's new listening, like that's something you should be thinking about even right now, like really planning for your future. What does it look like in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years for you? And really being around the right people to help you do that. I know when we talked before, you had like a pivotal moment. You had actually joined a different brokerage and realized quickly after, I needed to move again. And, it could be real, it could be any brokerage, but if you're like really feeling like drawn to something and you feel like, oh my gosh, I just made a move. I always tell people no one cares. Like, I think we put so much pressure, like, oh my gosh, this like just happened. But really at the end of the day, like really just planting your feet where you see like, okay, this is like where I want to grow. And this is like my next chapter. So what was the reason that you decided, like after you had just moved to another brokerage, why to do it again so that you could be in alignment?
Yeah, because there's a couple of things I want to touch on. First of all, you mentioned looking at your business with no end in sight. I am going to be 54 this year. and I was working crazy hours still. And I have the stamina for it and I love the work. So it's easy for me to keep up. But the reality was I had been conditioned and programmed and in spaces that promoted GCI and number of units. And there was an aha moment for me that it so doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't do anything for you. And if you don't build your team or build a business that can run at a level without you, it's not a business, it's just a job. And so, like, the understanding that real estate is crazy because we have all these amazing agents that have this great book of business and they work for 20, 30 years. And then their retirement sort of goes like this, they stop selling and their business dies. And I felt like I had put so much into my business. I didn't want that to be the case. I wanted something that I could retire on. I wanted something that I could not actively sell as much. I wanted something that felt more like a business and was really run more like a business than a job or just a team. And then I started recognizing that there's an old school mentality in a lot of brokerages, like they're running the same way they were running when I started 33 years ago. And that fed into the stagnation. And also, there are a lot of brokerages out there that the team model is so expensive. And so I just had oh no, I just made this move. The people are amazing. And I've actually recommended that brokerage for other agents looking to make a shift because we all need different things at different times in my career, in your career. At that particular moment in time in my personal journey, that's not what I needed. And so I had to make the move. And it was the best decision I've ever made.
I love that. And this has been almost a year now that you're, living more in alignment with your business. Mm-hmm. And so what are you really excited for right now moving forward?
Yeah, I'm really excited. First of all, I love helping other agents build businesses. And so, the concept of team has shifted a bit for me because I am building something I can retire on for myself, but the agents that are joining my team, I'm also helping them do the same. And those conversations also hit different when you talk about like recruiting. I had one agent that I was talking to her about joining the team, and she actually was super emotional and welled up. And she said, I'm 60 something. No one's ever talked to me about retirement. And the fact that you are creating this space where you're providing the gap between like what brokerages provide and, the gap between like what we actually need to build our businesses to last. She was like, this is just something I never expected in this conversation. That was super rewarding. So the business building element, I think I'm most excited about, teaching agents how to build something again that they can retire on. It was, no one ever talked to me about that. In all my years, not a single office meeting did anyone ever talk about that. And if I'm being totally honest, I do look back and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of pissed off about that. I spent a lot of money paying into those. I spent a lot of money paying into those brokerages. Like, I needed better information. I needed better tools. And so, I feel like the best is yet to come. And there's something super cool for me, being my age, having been in the business for so long, and really being more excited about my business today than I can remember in so many years. That feels pretty cool.
Honestly, it really does, because it's all about, I think, especially when you're like thinking of like your brokerage, you want to have fun while you're growing with people that you align with. And so it's just been so great for me. And I'm so glad to see you and how you're plugging into it. And even like you guys, she hasn't even talked about, one of the things me and Rebecca have talked about a lot is a lot of times people want to do something, but they don't have the time to implement it. And one thing that she's done really well is created this ecosystem for agents to plug into all kinds of things that are already done for them so that they don't have to go recreate the wheel. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, because real estate is like the craziest business model ever. You get your license and you're supposed to be a chief marketing officer and the CEO and the CMO and the bookkeeper and the floor sweeper and the stager and the light bulb changer. Like, what other business model actually kind of requires and demands that you be all of those things? The answer is like none, none. Even as an entrepreneur, you do a lot of things that are kind of crossovers of jobs, but even in the entrepreneurial world, they're taught very early to bring people in. It doesn't happen like that. Real estate, they don't teach you those things. So, for me, again, that bridging the gap is, listen, we all cannot be good at everything. That is just the reality. And when we try and take it all on ourselves, we end up really burnt out, or we end up, I say it like it's half-baked cakes. Agents have so many half-baked cakes because they don't have the time to actually finish something that they've started. And so many theories and tools are getting thrown at them all the time. And they're like, okay, I'll grab that and I'll take that on board. Okay, I'll try this and maybe I'll try that. And I get it. But for me, the implementation is where the success comes from, right? And you have to layer. So I do work a lot inside of the CEO Agent Academy, helping agents implement one thing at a time, get really good at it, and then layer something else. And you mentioned like social media earlier, I think, and we talked about exposure. And you know this, social media was not part of my business plan for a lot of years. I leaned very heavily into email marketing, and I've coached to that for a lot of years. If social media stresses you out, there's still a way to build a business without it. But the reality is that it's a great marketing opportunity. And when I compare it to the Saturday newspaper 33 years ago, it's definitely a winner. But you have to be ready for it and you have to be consistent. And I wasn't at that place before. So, I talk to agents about that too. Give yourself a little bit of grace, to take one system or one marketing idea, one concept, do it really, really well, and then add to it.
Yeah, I love all of that. And is your team nationwide or is it local?
Yeah, so I do actually have a local team, but I do also have agents in different parts of the country now. And that was an opportunity that Real afforded me, and an opportunity I hadn't even thought about when I joined the brokerage, if I'm being honest. But building a national team, yeah, also pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Pretty great concept. Yeah.
I always call it an opportunity platform to just do things that are so not traditional in real estate. Like, how cool is it that if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I've never even thought about retirement, and really like thinking about how cool is it that you could be in business with Rebecca and me, and we could help you with this, even if our last guest was in Delaware. I mean, literally you could be anywhere. Yeah. And I just think that that's so cool. And it really does open up so many doors for you when you do expand nationwide. So I love that. If somebody is wanting to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yes. Online, it's our website is RebeccaGreen.co, not .com, but RebeccaGreen.co. And then same handle on Instagram. I'm always happy to connect with agents and chat about their business and see if it's a good fit. I'm inside of RebeccaGreen.co. You can also check out the CEO Agent Academy. That's our membership, our courses and content and community. And we, again, have the ability to help agents all across the country.
I love that. And let's leave everybody with, what is something that you are reading, or you're either listening to, or it's a podcast, it's a book. What is it that is like really helping you right now in your business today?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, that one's tricky. I'm the consummate learner, and I'm listening to a lot of things. And I guess here's what I want to say to that question. We can listen to so many things and we can read so many things that can create overwhelm. So when I get this question, I always feel compelled to say, it's always great to continue to listen and learn, but it doesn't mean that you have to take everything on.
Yep.
Right? Because what we need at this stage of our business is going to be different than what we need in 5 years. And it's different than what we needed 10 years ago, whatever it might be. And so while I'm constantly listening and learning, I'm cognizant of taking it in, but not feeling like I have to make a shift in my business because I heard another good idea. So that didn't really answer your question, but hopefully it did provide.
I think people need to hear that.
Yeah.
And
so I listen to a lot.
Because people send us stuff all the time, or they're like, read this book. I'm like, I literally, the amount of books I need to read it's ridiculous. But I do love if I'm just driving and I have good things getting poured into me. And that could be a parenting podcast. It could be about health. It could be about business. It could be about so many different things.
Yeah, I am spending a lot of time, and this sounds like it's in complete alignment with everything we've already chatted about, but Mel Robbins' Let Them, I do listen to her a lot, and the book was great, and it was something I needed exactly when it was gifted to me, and that was pretty amazing, but that's a good one, and that teaches you some grace.
Amen to that. What a good way to end the podcast. All right, you guys, make sure to go and follow Rebecca, and we will see you next time. Thanks, friend, for listening to the podcast. We love having you in our community. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a review or share it with a friend. Also, we'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Go follow us at Moms in Real Estate.